I don't feel alone. We just settled in and it already feels like home.
You're listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford. Powered by Horizon. This is big. This is gig.
This is big. Horizon Fiber Internet is ready
Let them get you hooked up and power your Wi-Fi network
with the speed and reliability that only a 100% fiber network can do.
Horizon is ready to help you do what you do better. With real people, real rates, and a real service.
Connect with them today, and the first month is free. Plus no contracts, no data caps. Call 740-772-8331.
Or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe to sign up today.
So here's the deal. We did not have a guest lined up for this week, which is pretty much the I don't want to say it's my fault. Like, I was gone.
No, it's not your fault.
But
I was gone too.
That's right. You were gone. I was gone. I don't even know what that means. And so we kind of had a little gap. We've got some other ones that are pretty close to being lined up for after the first of the year. We're taping this right before Christmas. So we decided, and I think I forced Marty into this today, we would kind of take a look back at the last year and say we've agreed on our top 5 moments in Chillicothe and Ross County for this year. Because I think it's really important to look back at your successes and see the things that are out in front of you, but look at them through the prism of what you just went through. Because sometimes, you get to the end of the year and you're like, you get that little holiday break in there. And I think it's really important as you go into another year to sort of say, hey, we did some good things this year together as a group, collectively as a city and as a county, we achieved some things.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to get trapped in the thought that, this year, because of the pandemic, nothing good happened.
Right.
And we were coming in and out of that a little bit and, changing and restrictions and all those things that come with that.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you lose sight of like the really positive things that happen and like potentially how good of a year 2021 was.
Yeah.
So I think this is kind of a great opportunity to highlight some of those things, to remind people, like we did have some great things that happened this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to set the stage here, this is a top 5, okay?
Top 5. We love lists.
Honestly have 5. However, we agreed at the beginning of this thing tonight when we sat down that we would talk very quickly about a couple of honorable mentions.
And that's fair.
And we're not even really going to call them honorable mentions. We're just going to say that these were ones that did not make the cut, even though they're really, really cool. So, for example, here are the ones that I have listed, or that we listed together. Number 1 was, I guess the biggest thing that I think we didn't list because it's just too cheap is we started a podcast this year.
That's right.
And all of you have been incredibly gracious. We just recently went over 4,500 downloads for the podcast. We're probably narrowing in on 5,000.
Pretty quick, yeah. Probably
and
a couple
so
days.
we want to take another opportunity to just say thanks to all of you for listening and suggesting people to come on, coming on yourself. Some of you have been on, and we're super grateful for that.
And the great feedback that we've received from people and running into people downtown, out shopping, or at different events that say, hey, listening to the podcast, really enjoyed this episode. Those things mean a lot. So, and it helps us make a better show down the road.
Yep. And so here are a couple others that are kind of in a collective group that didn't make the cut. So Chillicothe got its theater back. Danbury is back. We got First Run Movies again. We got a trolley for a few glorious days in the summer, and that was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. There was a lot of people lining up to get on that trolley.
Yep, and so there's some talk about bringing it back more permanently now, and so that's very exciting. The return of the Chillicothe Paints. Sorry, Brian, I know you're listening, and you're going to say, how did we not make it? I'm sorry.
It was good to have a baseball
Hopefully
back.
You'll listen to the other 5 and you'll understand. But the paint's coming back. They didn't play in 2020, so it was exciting to have them back again.
Great to have them back.
And then the Light the Park tree lighting, which I had a little part in, but boy, what a great night it was that night. And then folks just continue to come downtown and check those lights out. So
we just drove around last night after dinner.
Yeah.
Or tonight after dinner.
Yeah. All of those things, could have been on a top 10 list. We just decided to cut it down to 5. So, all right. So with that said, number 5 on our list is the conversion of 2nd Street to two-way. I could go on and on and on about this. I'm going to try to keep it very positive. Look, I think the further we get away from that conversion, the better it looks. It is a welcome addition to the downtown landscape. The fact that, I still have to remind myself to look both ways now when I'm going that way. But it's just been a good move, I think. We're already starting to see some movement in some buildings in that area. And as soon as I think the construction is done at the law enforcement complex, I think we'll probably see even more. Those buildings that formerly belonged to the late Bob Etling, but they've been sold now, and they're starting to get some things in there as well. So that's been it was a long time coming for that to happen, but that conversion seems to have gone very, very well.
Yeah, I think that it makes downtown feel a little different. For me, as I drive down there, and like you said, you have to look both ways. And for my entire life, I've not had to do that. But I mean, are you getting positive feedback from the businesses that are on that 2nd Street in those 2 blocks?
Yeah. The thing that I hear more than anything is mostly from drivers. Okay. You say, well, thank God I don't have to, go all the way around.
Sure.
I did get a couple of people that they were looking kind of curiously at the parking meters and not really sure if they had to feed them or not. And I just happened to be walking by one day and they were like, do you have to feed these things? And I said, oh, no, they're not operational yet. This was a while ago. And I said, they will be. And they were like, oh, did this just turn 2 ways? I was like, yeah, it was like 2 months ago or a month ago. And they were like, oh, well, that's really cool. I remember coming here before, and I had to go all the way around a couple of times, and I'm like, exactly. So
yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah, I think that there's that section across from like the poorhouse and that row of businesses there, that there's a few empty that are available for lease.
Yeah.
And now it's going both ways on the street. I would say that those probably fill in pretty quick. And
I don't know of anything, and I've not really been in the loop super tight with that yet. But, statistics show that most people don't want to locate their business on a one-way street. They think it cuts down on traffic. Yeah. I know of one business that located in the Fort Collective because they decided that they didn't want to be on a one-way street. So, I think in time that will bear out,
Yeah, so I think so too.
Excuse me. All right, number 4, the community bike ride sponsored by Rivers Bend and 50 West. To me, this was just such a great showing of support and community that it had to make the list. It was actually kind of funny. I came up with like 6 or 7. It wasn't on the list, and then I just happened to find a Facebook post or something that mentioned that they missed the community bike ride. And I was like, oh yeah, that's got to get on the list. Because the way it started was just a few people. And then I think they went over 200 at some point in time toward the end of that thing. So I think it was just such a great showing of how something can get viral without a lot of work. And it's a completely free thing. All you got to have is a bike and the ability to kind of keep up, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I got added to a Facebook group that is like old school BMX guys from Chillicothe, and it's just a variety of guys that used to ride BMX bikes, and they were gathering on Sunday evenings and just riding around town. And then when 50 West opened up, they would end their ride there. And I never got to participate because it didn't match up with some things that I have going on Sunday evenings. But then it transitioned over to that Monday night, and I've been on the bike ride a handful of times, and my brother brought his old BMX bike out just for the ride, and I quickly realized that 13 miles on a BMX bike, a 20-inch BMX bike, was not great for an adult. But it's been a fantastic thing when you see just a large group of people getting together for. I mean, there's not really a cause other than get out and get your heart rate up and see the city and come together as a group of people, and then land at 50 West and grab a milkshake or a brew or whatever at the end, and just enjoy being in a community together. Yeah, so it's exciting to watch, and they drive down my street, and it's cool when I'm not on the bike ride. I usually get a chance to see. Yeah. And you're right. They hit 200, 218 on Labor Day. Yeah. And that was a big ride.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hopeful that I'll have a bike. I had to actually, the only ride that I actually did, I did a library through the Book a Bike program through the library. And I enjoyed that. The seat, however, kept going down. And so I try not to take it personally. But it was a good experience, but I think my own bike, I'll be able to enjoy it a lot more. So number 4 was the community bike ride. Number 3, we just talked about them, but the opening almost simultaneously of Old Capitol Brewing Company and 50 West has 2 breweries in downtown, literally within 2 blocks of each other. Both on Paint Street. 50 West being a little bit more of an established micro brewer, for lack of a better term. They're certainly known on a more larger scale. And then, of course, the fledgling Old Capitol guys coming out and starting their tap room. I like both of these for different reasons. For example, 50 West is sort of the first outside investment in our downtown that we've had. The building, of course, is still owned by the group, the Three Amigos group, but 50 West deciding to locate their first brewery outside of Cincinnati, or brew pub outside of Cincinnati, in Chillicothe was a big step for us. It's right on 50. It's in one of the more prominent intersections of our downtown. And so that's a huge first step, or a huge new step for us. And then I think just the idea, the story behind Old Capitol, and if you didn't hear it when we had Seth and Justin on, you can go back and listen to that episode. But it's an amazing story. And then just knowing that these guys that kind of had a hobby of brewing beer together now have opened their own brewery and done it in their hometown and are having great success at it and just enjoying themselves. It's just a great story. And I think, we've always joked, or, the two of them, and even when I talked to Bobby Slattery from 50 West, it's not really a great idea to open a brewery or something that gathers people in the middle of a pandemic, but you make it work. And right. I think all of those things went into putting that in my top 5 this time around.
I think what makes the 50 West edition really interesting is they announced that they were coming to town, and then they started construction, and boom, the pandemic hit. Yep. And it slowed everything down. It slowed the construction of that building down, and they had to do a lot of work. And when you walk in there, I remember when it was the bank, and just how that's changed, and how they've created this space that's it's different than a lot of pubs that you might walk into. It's real bright, and they kind of do things different, and they have a great burger and good fries, and it's because it's close, we eat there frequently. Yeah. And I love how they immediately became a part of our community. Yep. I mean, but they made the announcement. They put out that fantastic video that they were coming to Chillicothe and they're riding in the bus. Yep. And have all that footage. It was just a wonderful way to introduce themselves to Chillicothe, and how Chillicothe accepted them has been unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they also brought an energy to here as well. They do a lot of events. They do the trivia, they do the bike ride. They do, they have that outdoor area where you can play cornhole. They do the fun runs, things like that. They brought a different element to our downtown, and that's been cool.
They brought a bunch of sand.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, they did the volleyball tournament.
Yeah, exactly. Which is another thing that we probably could have thrown on our honorable mention list. Yep. That volleyball tournament done by Downtown Chillicothe was a great event.
Yeah, it was.
And on the flip side, of course, the Old Capitol guys, they've really tried to. They started out with a concept where they would partner with another restaurant. That kind of fell flat because of workforce and product concerns. But now they've got a new partnership with a neighboring restaurant. So they just keep trying to, keep up with being a part of a community down there. And I think that's what both of these openings brought to us, is just a renewed sense of community.
Yeah, and just another place to gather, another reason to go downtown, and it makes it special.
Yep. All right, so that was number 3. The number 2 is an interesting one because it is a project that a lot of you probably noticed for quite a while. But the opening of the Adina Orthopedic and Spine Institute is a big monumental moment for our community, and so it makes the list at number 2. And I will say that there are a lot of things that fly around about this because of people who are not at the Spine Institute anymore or whatever. You could probably fill a podcast with an episode about that. But
sure.
The fact of the matter is this. That is a huge investment in Chillicothe and Ross County. It's actually a huge investment in about a 7 to 8 county region.
Yep. All of Southern Ohio. It
is not something that every rural hospital has. And because of that, to me, it's one of the top things that happened in 2021. And walking through that building on the day of the ribbon cutting, and seeing the amazing things that the thought and the energy that they've put into creating space that's not just a hospital room with 4 walls and maybe one window that faces an air conditioning unit. You have beautiful views in some of those rooms of the vistas of Ross County. You have, I think they're going to continue to develop top-notch medical professionals that occupy that space. And so, because of all that, I think it's such a great and monumental achievement for our community. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, a buddy of ours, Andy Tomlinson, on his podcast, he brought in
the director,
the director, and that was a great episode for him to get to know who's in charge of that facility and what their goals are, and they are about helping this community be healthier and give them access to technology and access to services that normally we would have to go to Cleveland or Cincinnati or Columbus or Indianapolis or Pittsburgh, to get those types of.
Yeah, Dr. Fleming is the
Dr.
person.
Fleming, thank you. And I just thought it was a great interview. I thought how important that is to our community, not just our community, but all of Southern Ohio, to have that level of service and services available that normally we would never have had.
Well, and I think, ultimately what it comes down to is trying to keep as much of your health care inside Ross County as possible. I know that the more conversations that I have with folks out at Adina and leadership out there, that's very, very important to them. And I think it's important to me. We've had a child outside of Ross County, and there are a lot of logistical issues that went behind that. We knew that we were going to have a baby with a cleft, and so, because of that, we kind of made that decision. But that was a tough decision. If I have to have a hip replacement or a knee replacement, and God knows after playing softball for 27 years or 28 years or whatever it was, I'll probably need one at some point in time. I'm like, I'm excited about the prospect of doing all of that here.
Right.
And so, honestly, if I go someplace else and get my knee replacement or do whatever, I don't know the people in those rooms. But when we had Walker, the people in the room were people that we knew, in the labor and delivery. One of my other friends was bummed when Lucy was born and she wasn't going to be in the room. So it's great to know people and to have that, as something, when you feel like the community's in the room with you, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. I just had an experience 2 weeks ago. My dad fell out of the attic, off of a ladder, about 12 feet off the ground, and was a trauma patient. They took him to the hospital, in an ambulance, and I showed up to the ER, and the experience from there until all trauma at Adina, they send a grant. And so, but his few hours at Adina while they were trying to arrange transport for him, it was fantastic. He had a pretty good gash across his chin, and the doctor that was in the ER was like, "Hey, we're going to put a few stitches in that just to close it up so he can take the helicopter ride, because it's obviously bothering him, and I don't want him to worry about it." And it's like just something little like that.
Yeah.
Threw a couple stitches in his chin, and there it was kind of touch and go there for a little bit, but looks like he might get out tomorrow. So it just. But we had a firsthand experience of what healthcare in Chillicothe is all about. In Adina, I felt like my dad was in great hands there.
Yeah. And if you're, listening to this and you're outside, you're in Waverly or Courthouse or Greenfield, any of the places that Adina does serve as well, the difference between going from those places to Chillicothe and those places to Columbus, I'm sure you feel the same way. They're trying to work it out as well, that as much of that stuff that you can do in a Greenfield or a Courthouse or a Waverly, you can do there as well. Yeah. And so I think it's really important for local regional healthcare to still be a big thing and not be taken up by all the conglomerates and the big ones. But I think we can feel pretty good about the Ortho and Spine Institute being here.
Yeah,
so.
It's obvious that how they feel about this community because of the way they invest in our community.
Yep. So that was number 2. And number 1, do we have a drum? I don't think we have drums on there, do we?
I do not have drums.
This fancy soundboard.
No, that's not drum roll.
That is.
No, that's not it either.
Magical. You could do magical maybe. Number 1. Is Chillicothe being named as a best hometown by Ohio Magazine. Boy, we really did that on the fly.
We can edit that out.
Yeah. We don't edit this podcast,
No, we don't.
I think it's such a big deal for Chillicothe to be on that list. They only picked 5 this year. We were one of the 5. And I think what they said is more than just the actual naming. So they talked about how how vibrant the downtown was. They talked about how we have a lot of the things that you don't see in other places, including this sense of place that helps to welcome people in from outside, but also stay very true to its roots and know that we're kind of all in this together. And I think to me, I talked to Jim Vickers right before the tree lighting ceremony when they actually presented us with the award. He said, you will probably think that I say this everywhere I go, but there's a special feel in this town. I felt it from the minute that I got here. And when I did the interviews, I felt it again when I came here tonight. This is a great event, and you guys truly deserve this honor. And I think that's such a great tribute to all the people that put in a lot of hard work over the last decade or so to make this great. But I think it's also an acknowledgement that as great as we are, we can probably go a little further.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's the expectation of us, in ourselves.
Yeah.
That we, as a community, where we're looking back at ourselves saying, okay, now we have even more room to grow. We have even better things to do. And it's going to take all of us doing that together.
Yeah.
But what a great award to catch right before the tree lighting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, at this time last year, we had also won an award from the Studer Community Institute as one of the most resilient towns in America. And that was mainly based on the fact that we had, during the pandemic, we had the community response task force that really kind of drove a lot of the community efforts as we tried to work through the pandemic. On top of that, it just seems like every year is kind of like another level. And it's sort of like at some point in time, you just go, well, geez, what are we going to do next year? You know,
Yeah.
Because we just want to keep it going and keep it going and keep it going. And, you know, there are still some things that we need to settle and need to try to address. But I think, you know, knowing that we've always pulled together and done it, or at least over the last decade that we've done it, we did it with the opiate epidemic, we did it with downtown, you know, we've done it with, you know, X and Z and Y. And, you know, I think knowing all those things now, it doesn't feel like it's, you know, too much of a lift for one person, you know?
Yeah. It's exciting when you get recognized for all the work that's been done, because like you said, there's a lot of people that have invested a lot of time and energy and effort over the last decade to get to that point. And there's a lot of communities that do all that same work. And then the only recognition they get is they have more people coming to their downtown, or but sometimes it is nice to see somebody else recognize that in our community.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're recognizing it ourselves, but somebody on the outside looking at Chillicothe and looking at Ross County and saying, wow, they've got something special there. They really made a great comeback, and they're really putting themselves on the map. But again, now it's like, what's next?
Well, and I think it also, I think what we've done here over the last 10 years has helped to reinvigorate other communities to do the same. I came through Hillsborough when we were coming back from the airport last weekend, and just some of the stuff that they've done with their buildings and the little shops that they're getting kind of gives me hope that theirs is turning it around. I've been in Greenfield. They've done a few things like that. Jackson's the same way. They're slowly getting things. Portsmouth's making some great strides, you know. And so I think when people see that other communities can do it, I'm not saying that we caused all that to happen, but I think when you see that other people can do it, you go, well, wait a minute, why can't that be us? You know? And it becomes almost a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. You know, one person becomes two persons, becomes four persons, 8 persons, and so on and so forth. And soon you have, you know, an entire group of people that are just helping to pull the community forward at that point, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's a good time to be here.
Yep. So that's our number one moment of 2021, outside of starting a podcast for you that you can listen to all those on. And so, you know, we're interested when we post this on our social media. Please comment. Tell us something that we missed, or, you know, maybe give us your top 5.
Yeah, I would love to
Let
hear
us
other
know.
people's top 5.
Maybe we'll come back later and talk a little bit more about that. But, you know, hey, we hope that you have had a great 2021. We recognize that there are probably a lot of people out there that haven't. And, you know, COVID continues to plague us. And, you know, we don't know where we're at in this with the Omicron variant and everything else. I'm not even sure if I pronounced it correctly.
I think you got it right.
That's what I always used to call it. I used to be in a fraternity in college, and so you had to know how to pronounce all those things.
Is that what it was?
But then I heard somebody say it differently, and I thought, well, gee, that sounds about right too. So I don't know, maybe. But anyhow, we don't know where we're at with all that COVID stuff. And, you know, but I think as we've proven, and we even just talked about, like, we can do this. We can do it together. We can try to figure things out. There's going to be a lot of noise about things. You know, we need to do the things that we know will sustain us and keep us safe. And, you know, let the chips fall where they will. And, you know, I think in 2022, we've got some new things on the horizon. We'll have a new council for city council in Chillicothe. So that's going to be very interesting. We're going to have a couple of races in 2022 that could change the landscape of county government another year from now. So, you know, we need to be, you know, out there doing the best we can to become knowledgeable and understand the people that are running and understand where they are and trying to move us forward. And I think, even if we don't make the right choice in my mind or somebody else's mind, we'll figure it out. That's important for us to roll with the punches.
We're a community that always does.
Yeah.
And we're showing that every day.
Yeah.
That we might take a hit, but we get back up and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So.
Well, again, folks, thank you for a great 2021. We didn't really start rolling with this until April.
Yeah.
And so it's been a great 8 months from us, but we're just going to continue, rolling with this podcast. We've had a blast.
It's been a good year for them.
Keep helping us out, suggesting people to come on and things like that, because that helps, I think, alleviate some pressures sometimes when I'm trying to figure out, who haven't I had on yet?
That's right. Let us know who we've missed.
And, if maybe you could help us, maybe you can suggest to somebody that they get a hold of us and come on, because there are a few people that we've been trying to get on for a while and things just keep popping up and, but we're going to keep trying to get them on. So thanks again. Everybody have a great and safe new year, and we'll see you when 2022 gets here.
You're listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford. Powered by Horizon. This is big. This is gig.
It feels a little strange, but I don't feel alone. We just settled in and it already